Imagine a classroom where a student is aggressively disciplined by a teacher, sent to the principal's office, or given detention simply because they sneezed or because they couldn't suppress a hiccup. That sounds ridiculous to most of us, but for roughly 1 in 160 school-age children with Tourette syndrome, being penalized for involuntary physical actions is their daily reality. Schools routinely mismanage these complex physical realities. Students with tics are frequently labeled as disruptive or accused of seeking attention. They face disciplinary actions and are repeatedly commanded to simply stop moving or making noise. The biological reality contradicts this entirely. Tics are sudden, repetitive, non-rhythmic neurobiological movements and vocalizations. They are not behavioral choices, and they cannot be shut off through sheer willpower. Disciplining a child for uncontrollable tics creates an immediate anxiety spike. Because stress triggers tics, discipline directly increases tic frequency, causing more discipline. As this cycle repeats, the student learns their biological state is unwelcome, driving them into school avoidance, depression, and severe social isolation. Traditional classroom discipline does not cure a tic disorder. It actively worsens the biological symptoms, while manufacturing a completely preventable social crisis for the student. To understand how to actually help, we have to look closely at what happens right before a tic occurs. Many children experience a premonitory urge. It is an intense, building physical sensation that demands relief, very similar to the overwhelming physical need to scratch an itch. This diagram shows how the DSM-5 classifies conditions based on a 1-year duration threshold. Tourette's disorder requires the presence of both multiple motor tics and vocal tics. Persistent tic disorder involves experiencing either motor or vocal tics, but not both at the same time. But here is a critical clinical pivot. The visible tics you observe in the classroom are frequently not the primary source of the student's struggle. This data visualization shows the hidden culprits behind that functional impairment. Roughly half of children with Tourette syndrome also have ADHD, and 30 to 50% have obsessive-compulsive disorder or severe anxiety. These co-occurring conditions often cause more severe day-to-day impairment than the physical tics. Evaluating and treating these invisible comorbidities is vital for a child's overall academic and social success. Since punishment fails, we have to look at the actual first-line evidence-based behavioral treatment. It's called CBIT, or Comprehensive Behavioral Intervention for Tics. CBIT is built on specific trainable pillars. The first is awareness training. A therapist helps the child consciously identify and recognize their specific premonitory urge in the brief window before the tic actually happens. This flowchart shows the second pillar, competing response training. Once the child feels the urge, they are taught to perform a voluntary, physically incompatible movement, a competing response, that makes it physically impossible to execute the tic at the same time. Practicing this competing response effectively blocks the tic in the short term. Over time, consistently applying this physical block actually decreases the neurological frequency of the urge itself. For moderate to severe cases, where a student's daily function is heavily impaired, licensed clinicians can also prescribe specific medications, like alpha agonists, to assist the behavioral work. CBIT succeeds because it replaces the impossible command to just stop with an active biological workaround that empowers the child to manage their own body. For educators and parents, the primary objective needs to shift. Rather than attempting to silence a classroom, the goal must be ensuring the student's long-term academic and social inclusion. That requires structural accommodations. Schools can provide extra testing time, implement strategic seating near the door so a student can exit with low disruption when urges peak, and allow scheduled breaks to release built-up physical tension. Social inclusion also requires peer education. With the family's explicit consent, teaching classmates about the biology of tics is proven to dramatically drop bullying rates. Stress, fatigue, and even high excitement reliably increase tic frequency. Providing a calm, structurally supportive environment is a highly effective clinical intervention, one discipline could never achieve. If a child in your classroom or home struggles with tics or suspected ADHD and OCD, securing a formal clinical evaluation is the urgent and necessary next step. For K-12 schools in Georgia, MentalSpace School is the dedicated clinical partner, providing same-day access to comprehensive teletherapy. MentalSpace provides dedicated clinical teams that include CBIT-trained therapists. They are fully equipped to evaluate and treat both the tics and the complex co-occurring conditions that cause functional impairment. This graphic shows that treatment costs should never prevent a child from getting help. MentalSpace School is $0 with Medicaid and is in-network with all major commercial insurance plans. It is time to reframe the question from how do we make them stop to how do we support them. Contact MentalSpace School today to start that process.